With over 26 agents to choose from, it's kind of hard to imagine finding a main or two. Am I right? Now, on the contrary, it's as simple as you make it out to be. Valorant isn't like Overwatch or really any other MOBA game with 2 to 5 times the playable characters, which, in comparison, feels a lot more difficult to find your main, especially if you're a beginner. Sometimes it's as simple as picking who's most appealing to you, whether that's based on their appearance, or maybe their in-game lore or something. But that's why I'm here today, to help you choose your perfect main in Valorant. And before we get to anything else, let me just ask you a question here. What type of player are you? If you think your personality and preference as a gamer seems a little bit trivial to choosing your main and improving in the game, well, you couldn't be further from the truth. Just like in choosing a career or discovering a hobby, being able to enjoy what you're doing already gives you a huge advantage in honing your craft. Now, if you genuinely like what you do, it's easier to fuel your drive as you aim to be better at it. And that's why it's worth asking yourself what type of player you are so you can pattern your behavior and your tendencies to the agent that best suits your personality. Do you like being aggressive and have full confidence with your movement? Are you the type to think 5 steps ahead with deadly setups? Do you enjoy supporting your teammates and setting them up for perfect opportunities to win duels? These are the example questions that help mold you into the Valorant player that you are. And once you're able to identify what you're most comfortable with, playing the perfect main almost feels as natural as breathing. You don't have to think about it. It's all just memory. You can also consider the type of characters you usually go for in other competitive games as well. And now this doesn't necessarily mean you have to limit yourself into these capabilities though. It's more of discovering the patterns that align with your personality and your preference as a gamer. Not only will you be able to learn which agents you should main, but you're also going to enhance the growth and improvement of your mechanics. Now, before we go any further into this, if you feel like you've been struggling in ranked recently, then we have got a huge treat for you. Over at SkillCapped, we have recently published a brand new Calm Aim course that details how any one of you could develop Radiant level aim in just a few weeks. Now, while most players just aim in whatever way feels comfortable to them, it might surprise you to hear that there is actually a proper aiming technique that pros use to not only make themselves a little bit more consistent, but to also help them get more kills like this. Now, in our course, we're going to teach you this proper technique, and we're also going to even provide you with an aim training routine that you can use to instantly start improving your aim and climbing today. Unlike other routines, this is a simple, less than 15-minute exercise that you can do before you play that will do wonders for your aim. Not only that, but our site is literally backed by a rank improvement guarantee. So if you don't climb, you don't pay. If you're really looking to climb this act and you want to actually start fragging out in your matches, do be sure to check out our new Calm Aim course using the link below. So now that you have an idea of what type of player you are, the next step would be to find which role you're going to be most comfortable with. But before we dive deeper into the different roles, let's try to visualize what their usual responsibilities are in a typical site execute. Let's head over to a site on Ascent for this example here. The first layer of utility will come from the controller, smoking off the choke points on Tree and Heaven. This will then be followed by an info gathering utility from the Initiator, such as a recon or a drone. The mobility duelist will capitalize on the info that's gathered in unison with a flash from a utility duelist if you're running to duelist or another initiator with flashes. Lastly, the sentinel will usually stay back and watch flank, do a late lurk for an unexpected pinch, or fight with their teammates at the back line playing for trades. Based on the picture that we just painted on attacking, you'd probably already know what role you're going to be leaning more towards. Being a controller is one of the most difficult roles to fulfill, and honestly, it's often really underappreciated, especially by the insta-locker randoms on your team. However, being able to master controller agents is a great feeling as you're able to manipulate and control space from a safe distance. Now, this is done by blocking the enemy's vision in common choke points, which allows the team to narrow down the areas that they need to clear and to hold. Now, regardless if you're attacking or you're defending, it is a must for the controller to survive for as long as they can, especially if their smokes can refresh. Take it from Hoodie, an incredibly talented controller player in the Pro League.
Hello, my name is Hoodie and I'm from GiantX Valorant. Here are my tips for controller. Don't die too early, your team needs smokes. As a smoker, you are almost always an anchor player, so learn how to hold a side.
Now, on attacking, controllers deny space from the enemy team to retake, and they usually have a few other utilities that can delay time, such as mollies. On defending, they're also capable of delaying time by smoking entrances, ultimately making it more difficult for the enemy team to rush or push in. Now, if it reaches to the point where your enemies were able to plant and your team goes for a retake, another useful mechanic only controllers are most useful for is smoking the spike during a defuse. This has become even more powerful due to the removal of Valorant's ping visibility. Based on the current Valorant roster, we can categorize controllers into two different categories: supportive and self-sufficient. Supportive controllers include Astra, Harbor, and Brimstone. The reason they're placed in a more supportive role is due to having utilities that enhance team plays apart from blocking vision. Case in point, Astra's Stun and Pull, Harbor's Cascade, and Brimstone's Stim Beacon. All of these utilities are best used in pair with the team's sight take or area control, making it easier to press forward and get frags. Now, on the other hand, self-sufficient controllers like Viper, Omen, and Clove are more capable of solo plays while still providing value for the team as a whole. Since all of Viper's kit can decay or vulnerable enemies, it instantly gives her an advantage when taking duels and playing on off angles. Omen is the only mobility controller that can close distances and reposition unexpectedly thanks to the combination of his near sight and TP. Now, as for Clove, they're basically a pseudo-duelist controller who has a license to aggress with the help of her metal to vulnerable enemies and pick-me-up, which heals and gives a movement speed bonus. Now, on top of that, Clove can still smoke even after death as long as it's within the vicinity of their corpse. If there is one role most adept at supporting the team at all times, it's the Initiator. The majority of their kit is meant to be used for team play, which makes engagements easier to win and increasing the odds of securing rounds. Now, for that reason, if you're planning to main an Initiator, you better rinse off every ounce of selfishness in your entire body. If you find yourself playing away from your team, doing solo fights, and using utilities for yourself, well, this really isn't the role for you. Now, I'm not saying you can't secure rounds and get kills by playing selfishly, but you'd be wasting the potential of your team playing off your utilities, man. It's crazy. Now, as the name implies, the point is having the ability to initiate a plan or strategy, not by taking direct contact, but by letting your utilities create an advantage for the team to capitalize on. You have to also be confident in calling out your utility usage, especially if it benefits your duelist or your teammates in general. Now, in the heat of the moment, don't ask if you're going to flash or use a certain piece of utility. As an Initiator, you have to be firm in calling out what you'll do and let your team capitalize on that.
Watch what Screwface does here. He sees Tarek over here, and he's assuming he's got one of two plays. Tarek's either going to push into here, and that's fine, or he might push into tree. He's calming, I'm flashing for you. Tarek didn't ask for it. There was no, like, let me know when you want to flash. He just did it. Because he's like, there's an opportunity here that Tarek might want to push right through. So I'm flashing through based on a timing that he just gave me that will be able to create an opportunity for him to take a fight into tree. You just do it when you feel the timing is right there. You go for it. You say, I'm flashing here now, 3, 2, 1, or just do it. If you see an opportunity, you see a timing, you see a flash being thrown, play off the flash. It's that simple.
In terms of categorization, Initiators are much more flexible and have a variety of utilities. Flash Initiators such as Skye, KO, and Breach rely mainly on blinding enemies for easy kills. Now, the unique thing about Skye is that she comes with a dog that can clear angles and concuss upon impact, on top of having a reliable heal that can affect allies in a small radius. Now, as for KO, he can easily deny utilities from the enemy team apart from having a deadly flash to support his team. Breach is capable of controlling space due to the massive area of effect his utilities cover, stunning or displacing the enemy during teamfights. Info Initiators like Sova and Fade are most reliable for gathering info, thanks to their reconnaissance abilities. Both of these Initiators are very similar in terms of how much info they can provide to the team. The main difference is that Sova has a kit that's built for lethal post-planting, while Fade can deny sound cues and decay enemies. Hybrid initiators such as Gecko and Tejo have unique mechanics that can stop enemies in their tracks or straight up pick them off with damage-dealing utilities. The reason why they're considered hybrid initiators is because of how unique their kit is compared to the others. Gecko has a reclaimable flash that's guaranteed to blind enemies if not destroyed, as well as a wingman that can plant the spike and clear corners. Now, if that's not enough, his ult is basically a walking detaining machine that can be used twice in a round. Now, as for Tejo, we all know how destructive he can be with his salvo and ult. The amount of times we've seen agents get absolutely pulverized with his kit alone is nearly uncountable in the short amount of time he's graced the Valorant roster. Now, I might even dare say that Tejo's probably the best agent for post-plant with that absolutely nasty kit of his. So, if you're looking for a support role, try to navigate your way into which type you're most comfortable with. So, in a nutshell, the life of a Sentinel main looks something like this.
I'm flashing. Ready?
Yeah, I'm done.
You
Oh,
went
he's
right?
there. Oh, there's two. One took the zip. Oh, wait, no one took the zip.
Oh, 35. Oh, Brimmy didn't come with us. Oh, no.
Oh, wait, what?
Okay, well, I'm exaggerating here, obviously, but the core of the role is to be the best site anchor you can possibly be. On defense, Sentinels are able to lock down sites and gather info on multiple areas to the limit of their utility's reach. Now, on attack, they can easily deny flanks, put on nasty post-plant setups, and provide map control with lurks. Now, due to the variety of Sentinels that are currently available in the game, we can classify the role into 3 different aspects. Info Sentinels, such as Killjoy and Cypher, are those who can cover multiple areas in the map, providing info to the team should an enemy trigger their traps. While Killjoy can prove to be a lethal Sentinel with her toaster oven setups, she often finds a lot of value spread out her utility to give her teammates fewer areas to worry about. For instance, her turret can watch over flank while her alarm bot goes deep into another area, allowing her team to play off its contact. The only drawback is that her kit requires her to stay within a certain range to keep her turret and alarm bot active, so positioning is really going to be crucial here. Now, on the other hand, there's no other Sentinel that can provide a global presence like Cypher can. Not only is he great at anchoring sites and other areas on defense, but he can also keep his anti-flank setup active while he lurks across the entire map. But if you decide to focus all your Cypher traps on one site from time to time, then that can also work superbly as well. It'll definitely pay off, especially if you've got a good read on the enemy's tendencies. So moving on to the next category of Sentinels, we have the delaying Sentinels. This includes agents like Sage, Deadlock, and Vyse. And from the 3 Sentinels I've mentioned here, you probably already know what they have in common. They all have a wall that can easily halt the enemy team's push. Now, of course, delaying isn't the only thing they're capable of, but they're the most proficient at what they do thanks to their kit. Vyse can isolate enemies from each other and delay their push with their thorns. Sage can wall off a choke point and throw slow orbs to easily buy time for her team to rotate. Deadlock can make enemies second-guess their steps with her sonic sensors while having an extremely tough-to-break wall. If you find yourself enjoying these kinds of setups and delaying capabilities, then you might want to consider these 3 Sentinels. Lastly, we have a solo category for Chamber, which kind of falls under being a hybrid agent. Sure, he does have a trademark to detect and slow enemies in a choke point, but you have to be within a small range to really keep it alive. Now, as for the rest of his kit, they're mostly reliant on aim, giving him the ability to get quick and precise picks and get out unscathed. Chamber is also capable of slowing enemies with the help of his trap and ult. However, you need to successfully pick off enemies with your ult for his slow to work. Now, in a sense, he's kind of a selfish agent who can act as a pseudo-duelist, so maybe he's your cup of tea if you like to take duels as a Sentinel. Now, in the last role, we have the infamous Duelist.
You want to be a good duelist in Valorant, you gotta not be a coward, enter for your team, communicate what you're doing when you're entering for your team, and yeah, just be a duelist, dude.
Now, according to Prod, the key to being a good duelist is to have confidence and efficient communication. Now, that's not all there is to the role, but yes, if you're exuding confidence and aren't afraid to call the shots, then you might be a good fit to be a duelist. When playing Duelist, you can either go for Mobility Duelist or Utility Duelist. As the name implies, mobility duelists are those who are capable of scaling fast into a site or area. Jett, Raze, and Neon are the most capable duelists in terms of closing distances and capitalizing off teammates' utilities. Nothing compares to the movement abilities of these three duelists, and it makes them really difficult targets on the battlefield. Now, on the other hand, utility duelists like Reyna, ISO, and Phoenix excel at taking 1v1s because their kit can easily give them an advantage. Phoenix has a flash and utilities that can sustain his health. Reyna has a Leer and Soul Orb that can either be used to heal or quickly reposition. ISO has a shield that can block an instance of damage, as well as a moving wall that's impenetrable and capable of isolating angles. These utilities allow them to get an instant advantage even before the duel starts. Now, you probably noticed we didn't categorize Yoru. Well, that's because he also functions as a hybrid, falling in between the two categories as a whole. He has a flash that can give him an advantage in fights and can also be used to mask his TP. His teleport can be used to position yourself unexpectedly as well as fake your presence. Overall, his kit is a true testament to his name, being a master trickster, making him an effective hybrid duelist. So before deciding on who you should main, it's worth testing the waters on each of these available agents at least a few times. Once you improve in the game and you reach the higher ranks, you're going to be put in situations where you might need to adjust once in a while, and it's best to be prepared when the time comes. Having a main doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to limit yourself to that specific agent or role for the rest of your games. It just kind of implies that you have an agent or two that you're most confident to play regardless of the map. You're going to have multiple opportunities to test out agents, whether it's in small games like Team Deathmatch and Swift Play or in standard matches like Unrated. Use these game modes to test out agents and observe which ones you enjoy the most playing. Then, slowly, by process of elimination, find which specific agent synergizes with you the most. Perhaps you're going to notice that you like this agent based on their character's lore, or maybe you just naturally perform well when you're using them. Pay attention to these tiny, small details so you can narrow down your perfect main. Always remember that your chances of improving significantly increase when you actually enjoy what you're doing. Anyway, hopefully you learned something from this video or at least enjoyed the watch. And if you're looking to rank up this act, then let me tell you we can help you out today to get you back on track and climbing right away. As mentioned with our brand new Calm Aim course, we're going to teach you everything you need to know about how aiming has developed over the last decade. We're going to teach you the established, proper technique that aim pros use to maximize their accuracy and whiff far less. Aiming can feel so freaking hard sometimes, but we want to help to make it stupid simple for you and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. So don't forget, site subscribers also get direct access to our coaches in Discord so you can get personalized feedback just for you. Nobody understands how to climb out of low elo more than us, so if you're looking to rank up, be sure to check out SkillCapped using the link below, and I'll catch you in the next one.